We spend so much time and money on our home servers, but the second we leave the house, we cannot use any of those services? Of course not. Home server is kind of useless if you cannot use it everywhere and cannot share it with your friends and family. So maybe we want to expose some services publicly to the internet. I've covered how to do that in a video with Cloudflare Tunnel, make sure to check this video, but we want to keep some services private and secure behind a private network. So in this video, I'll show you how I remotely connect to my home server, virtual machines, and work resources on a daily basis. So I usually use one of these three methods, depends on the use case and depends on the scale, but feel free to use any of these based on your requirements. Okay, enough talking, let's go to the first one. At number one, we have Tailscale. I've been a user of Tailscale for quite a few years now, and they never disappointed me. I've been using Tailscale to connect to my virtual machines, my Homelab, and a few job-related resources. And the best part about Tailscale is getting started is quite easy. So head over to Tailscale website and click on download. Choose your operating system. In my case, I'm using macOS, and download Tailscale for your operating system. Now we will install Tailscale client on my macOS so that later I can connect to remote resources from my Macintosh. So click on continue, install, enter your password, and that's it. Now I will open Tailscale, click on allow, click on open system settings, and then toggle this on. Enter your password and done. Now I should have Tailscale on my menu bar. So click on that and choose login. On this page, choose the identity provider that you would like to use. After signing in, click on connect. Now we can go to admin console and see our new machine. In my case, this is my MacBook Air. Now the next step is to deploy Tailscale on another machine within my home network. So I will deploy it on an LXC container on my Proxmox server. You can do it on other Macintosh, other Windows machine, or a Raspberry Pi, or whatever device that you have in hand. So I'll pick Linux, copy this line, and then I'll go to my Proxmox. Now I will choose one of the LXC containers that I will always keep that running. Paste that line and it will be just one line command installation for Tailscale. Okay, the installation is done. Now usually in this step we need to use Tailscale up, but we need to do one extra step. So if I run Tailscale up --help, I can see this option, advertise routes. I'll copy that and paste that here. Now I will specify the subnet or subnets that this Tailscale should advertise. So in my case, I will go with 192.168.2.0.24. Then we need to authenticate, copy that. Then we will see this screen, just like a few minutes ago. Choose your identity provider, and after that, just click on connect. Now, if I go back to my Proxmox, I can see it says success. Now back to my Tailscale, I can see that I have this Docker machine that has this blue subnet with an eye icon in front of that. If you hover over that, you can see that it says this machine has unapproved routes. Review this from the Edit Route Settings option in the Machines menu. So click on this three dots, click on Edit Route Settings, and approve this. Now click on Save. It will take a few seconds and then we will see updated route settings. And there is no warning anymore. And it says this machine advertises subnet routes. Okay, I switched my Wi-Fi and I should not have access to that subnet. And if I connect my Tailscale, now I should be able to connect to these resources. So for example, my Portainer is only accessible in that subnet. So let's try that. And it works perfectly. I can also connect to machines with their specific IP address. Now, for example, I will connect to my TrueNAS with its IP address. And it works perfectly. At number 2, we have Twingate. Twingate operates quite similar to Tailscale from a user's perspective. There are a lot of architectural differences between how they operate, but just for sake of simplicity, I will skip those for now. Let's get started by downloading the client for our operating system. In my case, I will go ahead and download macOS installer. After that, just do continue, install, enter your password, then click on accept and continue, and you can close this one. Continue. Notification, you can grant the permission, but in my case, I don't need it, so I will skip that one. We need VPN. We need this permission, of course, so grant it. And this one, we need that as well. So toggle this on, enter your password, click on continue. Now we need to log into our Twingate account. I have already created an account for myself, so I'll just log in. Something that I don't really like about Twingate is every single time that you want to do something, you need to sign in. So I know that it's because of security, but it's too much for me. That's why it's my second option. So sign in with your identity provider. Now I'll do the same on my Twingate's client. I'll check that as well. Again, sign in with your identity provider. So if I click here, you can see that I'm connected. Now back to my Twingate account. If I go to devices, you can see that this device is connected. Now we need to create the actual network. So head over to add a resource. For location, choose other, give it a name. I will say Homelab network. Now under Homelab network, I need to add my subnet. So I'll give it a name. I will say Homelab subnet. And here I will enter the subnet that I want to be exposed to my Twingate VPN. Click on create resource. Now grant access to everybody in your organization. Now here go to remote networks, Homelab network, and you can see that we have two connectors here that are not yet connected. So click on one of them. From these scripts, choose the one that you want to use. In my case, I will go with manual. Scroll down and click on generate tokens. For generating token, we need to authenticate one more time. So let's do that. Sign in with your identity provider one more time. After signing in with our identity provider, we'll see these. Okay, sorry, I forgot I need to choose Linux, not manual. So after that, I will get this long command here, click on copy command, and then go to your virtual machine, server, or whatever that you have. In my case, just like the previous chapter, I will deploy it on one of my Proxmox LXC containers. So I will choose my Docker LXC container, paste that in. Okay, it's done. Let's go back and you can see that we are connected. So if I go to my Homelab network again, you can see that I have one connector here. So as you can see, there is one more connector here. Of course, you can add more connectors. For adding a new one, you should just follow the steps from a few seconds ago that we just did together. But for the sake of simplicity, I will just skip for now. So I switched my Wi-Fi to another network. Now I should not have access to that specific subnet. But just like the previous chapter, my Portainer is deployed on it. So if I go to this address, now with the VPN on, I should have access to this. So let's see that. And it works. I can also access an IP address directly. So let's connect to my Synology NAS and it works perfectly fine. Okay, let's go to the next method. At number 3, we have Wireguard VPN. So I'm going to self-host a Wireguard on my Proxmox machine and connect to that specific Wireguard server with my clients. This approach is not as easy as Tailscale and Twingate, but it's free. when you want to have more resources like clients, devices on your network, you have to pay. But we programmers, we don't really like to pay. So why not testing Wireguard ourselves? So let's start by creating a Wireguard LXC container. Head over to Proxmox VE helper scripts and search for Wireguard. Scroll down and copy this right here. Go to your Proxmox, paste that line, hit enter, click on yes. I would go with advanced because I want to specify a few things myself. So let's go with Ubuntu 22. This container doesn't have to be privileged, so choose unprivileged, choose a password, specify the container ID, so I'll go with 106. Hostname is fine, disk is fine, CPU, just one core is enough, 500 megabytes of RAM is enough, bridges that. Now for IPv4, I will specify a static IP, okay? And the rest, we can just go with the defaults. So it will take a few seconds. Okay, finally, after a few minutes, it's done. Let's go to this URL and the default credentials are admin. Okay, sign in. Now you need to choose a new username and new password. Okay, make sure that you enable multi-factor authentication, but for now I'll just skip it. And now welcome to your Wireguard panel. Here we can create, manage, and monitor all the configurations and connections to our server or Homelab. So let's start by creating a new configuration. You can see this configuration as like a group of connections that you can have. For example, you want one group of connections to one subnet, one group of connection with some limitations. So for now, I will say Homelab network, specify a port. I will choose a port like 8484. And now for IP, this will be the IP address for your clients within this network. So you can just go with the default that it says. So let's do 10 and click on save. Okay, next step, click on this peer, give it a name. I will say MacBook. Here you can allocate a static IP address for this exact connection, but for now we'll just don't touch it. And everything else, I would leave it as default. So click on add. Now, if I click on these three dots and click on this, you can see that under endpoint, I have the internal IP of my Wireguard server. So this is not going to work just like this. So we need to make another modification. So let's close that, then go to settings. Under peers settings, you can see peer remote endpoint. So if you have a static IP address, you can go ahead and enter that here. Or if you're like me and you don't have a static IP address, you can just use a dynamic DNS or ddns. There are tons of dynamic DNS providers out there. Feel free to search that yourself, but an easy one will be docDNS. So in my case, I would like to use my own domain, so I will go with something like this: vpn.home.sn.me. So remember what you entered here. We're going back to this again. Open this, and now if we check this, you can see we have vpn.home.sn.me and then at this port. Now the next step is to actually create that domain name in my Cloudflare panel. So head over to your Cloudflare panel, then create a new DNS record, type a vpn.home, and for IP address, for now I will point that to 1.1.1.1. So the reason why I picked this IP address is I want my dynamic DNS updater to do that for me. So this is a handy tool that you can use to update your IP address with a big list of DNS providers. So if you scroll down, you can see there are tons of configurations here. Let's start by downloading the binary file. So go to releases, find the right package. In my case, I will go with this one. So head over to Proxmox and enter your new Wireguard LXC container. Log in and then download that binary file. And after that, we need to grant permission to this new file to be executable. So run chmod +x and then the file name. And for the simplicity, I will rename the file to just ddns-updater. If I run this ddns-updater, I will have basically no configuration. One good thing about this package is it will open a web server on port 8000 so that I can see all the dynamic DNS updates. So if I go to that page, I can see there's nothing to update. Back to Proxmox, I will stop that. And if I check, I see a directory called data. Inside this data, I have a config file. So open that and back to GitHub, I can find a different configuration template by just searching my DNS provider. So choose the one that you have. In my case, I'll go with Cloudflare. And in this page, just copy that, paste that in here. Now here we need to enter a few things. One is zone ID, the other one is domain, and the last one is token. So let's grab those. Go back to your Cloudflare panel, click here. And if you scroll down, you will see the zone ID here. Copy that and paste that here. For domain, enter the full domain here. So VPN. The TTL, I would like Cloudflare to handle it for me. So based on DDNS-updater documentations, if I specify 1, it will be automatic. So I'll change that to 1 as well. Now let's grab a token. Again, go to Cloudflare, click here, go to your profile, under API keys, create a new token. From API token templates, choose edit zone DNS, and here choose the domain name that you want. So in my case, it will be s&me. Everything else should be fine, just give it a name. Because I will delete this token immediately after recording the video, I'll name it temp so that I remember. Continue to summary, create token, and copy that. Paste that here, do Ctrl S, Ctrl X to save. And now if I run ddns-updater and go to its page, I will see that this domain now is pointing to this IP address, which is my IP address at the moment. You can see now it's pointing to the right IP, which is my home IP at the moment. Okay, and lastly, we need to make a change in a way that this ddns-updater runs in the background without occupying our terminal. So of course I can just leave this Proxmox container like that, but it's not convenient, and every time that I restart this container, I need to run this manually. So hit Ctrl-C, then type cron tab -E, choose your editor. I'll just go with Nano. And here at the very end, type @reboot, provide an address to that file. So I think it was root ddns-updater. I'm not sure, but we will check it now. So let's copy that. Now Ctrl-S, Ctrl-X, and yeah, the file was correct. Now, right now, if I reboot this LXC container, okay, back to the console, log in, and if I search in my open processes by PSAX and grep by DDNS, this is actually running. And if I visit this page, you can see it's up and running. Now we need to do one more thing. In our Wireguard panel, you remember we specified port 8484, just a made up number. We need to tell our router to send all the traffics from internet coming to our IP on port 8484 to this specific machine, which is running Wireguard. So this is going to be different on your router, but I will just show you how I did it in my router. Probably for you, it's the same thing. So log into your router. So in my case, I have a port forwarding option. Under port forwarding, click add. For protocol, make sure that it also includes UDP because Wireguard is based on UDP. For external port, specify 8484. Then for internal IP, specify the Wireguard LXC container IP. And internal port, again do 8484. And then click on apply. Now back to my Wireguard panel. If I download this, so click on import tunnels from file and import that configuration. Okay, I switched my Wi-Fi network. Let's try that. Click on activate. First, let's see our container. Now if I access an IP address directly, it should also work. And it works. And there you have it. I'm pretty sure there are tons of other good methods out there that you guys are using to connect to your home server, virtual machines, work resources, and etc. But I don't know all of the tools. So let me know in the comment section what are your choice of doing the same thing. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoyed these type of tutorials, make sure to check out this playlist. And if you want to learn how to transfer file between your local machine and a server with 7 methods, check out this video. Thanks for watching. Until next time.